the I think seventh lecture of the Journalism Reform Anxiety series that we convene in ISTEC since December. Oh no, rather since December 2023. This is convened by Dr. Mehmet and myself. But before that, we wish to welcome Professor B.A. Hussein Mia and Professor Wan Hashim Wante for taking the time to come to ISTEC, and Professor Hussein Mia, especially our appreciation for allocating us the privilege of hearing from you, the scholar that has to be referred more in Malaysia. Professor Hussein Mia will be speaking on the topic of the Sri Lankan Malay community and two periodicals. The title has been amended. The Malay community of Sri Lanka as perceived through the 19th century periodicals of Alamat Langkapuri and Wajah Selong. Now, Professor Hussein Mia is a scholar of the Malay community in Sri Lanka, the history of the Malays and the origins of the Malays in Sri Lanka, as well as the two periodicals, Alamat Langkapuri and Wajah Selong. These two periodicals are significant in the sense that the Alamat Langkapuri is the first Malay newspaper in the world, 1852. It's earlier than the Malay newspaper in Malaysia or Singapore. But there's another one, I think, in Semarang. I think, and Alamat Langkapuri has a very interesting history with regard to its editor, Yunus Saldin, with regard to how it has brought the idea of the extension of the Malay archipelago, the extension of the orang yang disailankan, those who are exiled. There's a term, orang yang disailankan, to that island. And I would see it as an extension of the Malay world. Although the Sri Lankan Malays are termed as diasporic Malays, together with those in South Africa. The scholar in Malaysia who is engaged in the study of diasporic Malays is Professor Wan Hashim Wante, formerly from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, ADMA, and now at the University Pertahanan, National Defence University. Prof. Wan Hashim has done a lot of studies on the Malays in Sri Lanka and Australia and South Africa. We were in Colombo and Hotam Bata, Hambantota, in Kerinda in 3-4 months ago. And that is when we were received at the Padang Club in Colombo, Jalan Padang, and sumptuous Sri Lankan Malay meals. I love the curry, and of course after that, my handphone occasionally will appear this Sri Lankan cuisine. I think they know I'm there. And this is when I met Professor Hussein Mia, whose name I've known over so many decades actually.
Yes.
I've not had a chance to meet you, but I read the book on the Orang Regiment. Orang Regiment is a classic in knowing about the history of the Malays in Sri Lanka. So Colombo and the Malays Sri Lanka hold a lot of history to us in Malaysia. And there are many, it resonates many things, identity, and many, when I came back, I wrote a few pieces of articles on that. Many were interested, many Malays were actually dumbfounded and asking me, are there Malays in Sri Lanka? Why are they different, so on? So I had to respond to them, but I think they need to listen to Professor Hussein Mia. And Professor Hussein Mia has been, by his own description, Muslim scholar of Malay vintage. spending half a century in academia. He is long. I'll read the relevant ones. Now, one thing which I realized and I've written in my column is Hussein Mia's engagement with Professor Ismail Hussein. I think one has to know this. Professor Pendeta Ismail Hussein, Leiden trained and is from University of Malaya, who constructed and reconstructed the Malay world. The idea of the Malay world, the idea of engaging with the Malay world, the vocabulary of Malay world, I think began with the first conference in Colombo.
In Malacca.
Malacca, first conference in Malacca, and then went to Colombo, yeah. And
presided by the Sri Lankan president.
Yes, right, exactly. So Professor Hussein Mia was involved, and Ismail Hussein has made us understand the various divisions of the Malay world. In other words, it's a monolithic geography and history, but there are concentric circles. His idea of a concentric circle, the inner core of the Malay world, the outer core, and the greatest extent. So there are four concentric circles. The fourth concentric circle extends from Madagascar to Hawaii and to New Zealand, but the inner core would be from those in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei. So that is the contribution and the thoughts of Ismail Hussein and Professor Hussein Mia must be revisited. I'll just go through. Professor Hussein Mia is well known for his pioneering contributions to the study of the Sri Lankan Malay community. I have to mention the manuscripts. Through his groundbreaking discovery of more than 150 hitherto unknown Malay manuscripts and printed lithographs of Malay, Arabic, and Arabo-Tamil. Arabo-Tamil is Tamil in Jawi. Or there's another in Jawi or Arabic?
Same thing.
What about Arabic? Same.
Arabic and Arabic same.
Same. Arabic, yeah. And thus was able to extend boundaries of Sri Lanka to larger Malay world of South Asia. It's very important. Apart from many articles, he authored two seminal books on the Malay community, namely The Lost Cousins, 1986, the Sri Lankan Malays, as well as Orang Regiment, the Malays of the Ceylon Rifle Regiment in 1990. Professor Hussein Mia was involved in the first Malay Symposium in Malacca, where Tun Mahathir officiated, and the second one in Colombo in 1985. Attended by 100 delegates from Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, with President J.R. Jawardani as the chief guest. Our speaker is also associated with the University of Brunei in 2016, and a visiting professor until 2021 at the Southeastern University of Sri Lanka in Oloville to reform a history curriculum with a view of starting a majoring degree in history. He has been invited at various times to serve as distinguished fellow in as many world universities, including UKM, University of Malaya, NUS, Hull University, Northern Illinois University, Chicago, National Museum of Ethnology in Osaka. That's a very good institution, actually. Yeah, it has. I think we have to visit that museum, and it tells us that there is historical and ethnographical link between the Japanese and the Malays, and in terms of the narrative, the early origins. Ethnographically, the Japanese would be our very distant cousins. Although at that time, early 1900s, they would recognize it, but now they sort of ambivalent. I've tested on them many times. But this is the literature in the early 1900s anthropological literature. And 2 years ago, as visiting Fulbright professor at Florida International University, Miami. So Professor Hussein Mia has made great contributions and to the study and to the knowledge, our knowledge of the Malays in Sri Lanka. So today, his focus would link as part of this lecture series to that tremendous, marvelous journal, which I'm trying to get copies and trying to do a project later on Alamat Langkapuri and Wajah Silong. Over to you, Prof. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillah Rahman Rahim. First of all, let me heartily thank the ISTAC IIUM and Professor Murad's personal initiative in sponsoring this talk. He expected me to talk something about my own research, which is the Malay community of Sri Lanka. But I thought I might rather little adjust it to his own interest. He is a man in this institute promoting study of journalism and communications. I thought let my talk be of that relevance. To talk about the relevance, of course, we have substantial material in Sri Lankan community, namely the Alamat Lankapuri and Vajasilong, about which I will be now coming to talk. When I started on the study in Monash University, second slide, yeah, I came across this endangered when newspaper archives crumble, history dies, which is what Professor Murad is personally involved, because he thinks that the great historical facts, particularly in the recent history, modern history, lies in the newspapers. Of course, newspapers do various functions and various jobs. Apart from informing day-to-day activities, newspaper also makes comments on the day's affair, and there are columnists who write about various matters of local and national interest, plus advertisements, photographs. In other words, there is an abundance of material to study a particular period, whether it's USA or Australia or Germany or Sri Lanka. If one were to study the growth or evolution of the modern communities, especially since the 19th century, newspapers provide most valuable sources. That is what this quotation I'm trying to tell you. If the newspaper archives is lost, we are also losing our history, which is very much true, because history, as you know, is made up of so many sources. And today, let me focus newspaper as one of the primary source, with special particular reference to Sri Lanka, and also with reference to that small Sri Lankan Malay community. How does this newspaper help us to reconstruct their past and their world values? In order to proceed with this, I need to give a small understanding about the Sri Lankan Malay community, which I don't need to make a big talk. My theories and ideas and my research has been well enunciated in my book, two books. One is Lost Cousins, and the other one is Orang Regiment. These books, of course, if you can get access to them, you read them, you will get a full idea, and quite a number of people are aware of this. Now, Sri Lankan Malays are no stranger to the Sri Lankan Malaysian scholars, no stranger, because of very reason. If anyone were interested in this book, it's not saleable easily, not available. My first 1,000 copies are sold out. Second 1,000 copies are sold out. This is available in the Academia EDU under my name, Hussein Mia. This can be downloaded anytime. The whole book, both Lost Cousins and Orang Regiment, can be downloaded. Because I thought for a while I kept this book with me, but a lot of people were poaching on it. Using this book, they're writing about Malays. I've come across more than 100 articles written on Sri Lankan Malays, but there's no other facts other than what I'm quoted. Because my book.
They cited,
Pardon?
they cited your name? They cited the book?
Hardly. Some cite, some don't. No, they write it as if straightforward sentences, straightforward paragraphs. They do that because they think they're writing a new thing on Sri Lankan Malays. So then they found it easy. So they repeat it. But at that time I thought, well, I mean, people are plagiarizing too much, so I shouldn't make this so easily available. But later I thought, knowledge is not confined to Sri Lanka, Malaysia, or Dr. Hussein Mia or anything. Knowledge is wide. It doesn't matter whether you are plagiarizing or not. You are really spreading this out. I don't care about my own accreditation, but I thought this kind of material, which has been the hallmark of long-term research, my research, must be available for public. So now I have done that. So it's available online. Number two, I have done another great thing. I feel in my own, I discovered more than 150 manuscripts in Sri Lanka, mostly Malay manuscripts, Gundul, Javi. To some extent, there are some books on Arabic Tamil, we have already spoken, and there are Arabic books. And also on top of it, lot of what you call material, printed material, among which only these two newspapers were found. So now, all these days, I kept it with myself. I took microfilms and given copies to various Malaysian libraries. If you go to National Library of Malaysia, you will see all my manuscripts are there. Manuscripts in original form or in contemporary form. So if you go to University Kebangsaan, Institute of those days, Bahasa dan Kebudayaan dan Kesusastraan, where I work as a fellow, they also have that copy. University Malay also have copies. So I have personally distributed this. And also a good collection is in University of Brunei Darussalam. So in other words, I took care to preserve this material, not in Sri Lanka alone, but where it belongs to, namely the Malay world. Now, third stage, I thought, it's not just important for people to have this in libraries, it's very difficult. You see, library research means it involves money, time, and energy. You have to go to libraries and check on those things. This is what we did. In my time, in order to get one book in the British Museum Library, I waited 3 days for it to come. That was the time. But the same book now, click, click, it is in the internet. So its whole world has changed. So therefore, I thought, why not my manuscript? Let me make public. So recently, I worked with the Noolagam, meaning Library Foundation in Sri Lanka, who are very taking a lot of care in digitizing and putting all these things in iCloud. So virtually now what I have done is all these 150 manuscripts is in iCloud. You can access them. There are quite a number of manuscripts. I can tell you easily about 50 PhDs can be produced from this material, easily. There are individual manuscripts, each one can be edited, text edition. So people won't know my value. Very soon they'll come to realize that here is a PhD topic, just to be culled. And yet they don't need to get my permission. So I believe that knowledge should be very public. Knowledge should be distributed. Knowledge must build on knowledge. Don't keep the knowledge for yourself. You see, if you know the early Islamic universities tradition, there were no universities as such, technically. What is big universities in the mosque, masjid? There will be a scholar will be coming. He has studied so much, and he will simply give a talk, lecture, and all the people will be flocking into the masjid. That's how the knowledge was spread. There's no institute, no examination, no formalization. But there are brilliant people within that. They emerge after listening. Not all the 100 people who listen to the lectures become brilliant, but 2 or 3 people are great scholars. I'm not an Arabic scholar, but you will know quite a number of them who have emerged like that. So anyway, to cut that story short, I have made this study of Malay community and the Malay literature and the Malay culture, overseas Malays, all this now easily can be accessed and be researched on. So this is what has been going on. Now go to the next. Yes, now just must start it. It's all started when I won a scholarship to a postgraduate degree at Australia's Monash University in March 1974. In view of my background as a Sri Lankan Malay and my knowledge of Tamil, late Professor Cyril Skinner, a man who was very interested in Tamil Nadu and renowned Malayologist, and the then head of the Indonesian Malay Studies Department, suggested to do up my research on the South Asian Tamil influence in Southeast Asia, which was also his pet topic. In other words, there are a lot of Malay literary works, classics, like Hikayat Muhammad Hanafiya, Hikayat Amir Hamza. All these great Malay literary epics, to some extent, are rooted from the Tamil. The Tamil Muslim Tamils have already produced their own hikayats. Those things, in some form or other, got translated and amplified in Malay. So the professor was so interested in that aspect. How did South India influenced Malay culture or Malay literature in particular? But he himself was working on a guy called Rialuddin, who is a Tamil Tamil diarist. He wrote a diary and he wants to find out about his ancestry, like Marikan, Marikan, and particularly Kandu, the person called Kandu. All these things he was interested, so he thought he could use me to find out, because my Tamil was good, because I did my degree in Tamil in periodicals. So then he realized that I'm a Malay, Sri Lankan Malay, but he was thoroughly disappointed. Sri Lankan Malay, and he started speaking Malay. I couldn't reply. I replied to the Indonesian bahasa, balasan, bukan jawapan. Balasan ka? Apa balasan itu? Jawapan. Now I know it's jawapan. So in other words, although I'm Sri Lankan Malay, it's not a Malay. It's a Malay, but it's a kind of creolized Malay. It's not a standard Malay. In other words, well, they will understand some Malay, Malaysians will understand some Sri Lankan Malay, but it's not intercommunicable. So professor thought that I'm a Sri Lankan Malay, therefore I can speak Malay, was a wrong norm. So that's why. But interestingly, while we were discussing this topic, I had by chance a newspaper article in Sri Lanka Tamil. There's a great librarian, Sri Lankan Muslim librarian called Kamaruddin, S.M. Kamaruddin. He published a small piece of item saying Alamat Lankapuri in Tamil. Then what I did was, I asked him for a film of it, microfilm, for anything say. So when Skinner was talking about this Tamil influence in Malay literature, I just showed this. Professor, can you look at it? Alamat Lankapuri, what? Then he went through that. Date is 1869. And he read it. And he's a Malay scholar. He could read Alamat Lankapuri straight away within that microfilm. I said, Hussein, now you are hit the golden treasure. Here is your chance. Where are these things? I said, sir, I can find it. Where? In Sri Lanka. Well, you know what he did? I have got a program for you. So he taught me Javi. I went to Malaysian class. We had to go to this coursework. I had to study Malay. But at the same time, I had to read Javi. In 2 days, I learned Javi. Don't fool. You know how I learned Javi 2 days? I know Arabic very well. I know Arabic Tamil. So I just read it. It's a Malay. So once I do Malay, Javi. And he was so impressed with my diligence. Right? This guy, although I knew that he's from a Malay, but this guy is now becoming a master in Javi. There it all started. Then he said, come here. I will come to back. That Vannasim will explain what we happened in that institute. He was there. So he applied for a special grant for me to go to Sri Lanka. See, this self-interest, you know what is self-interest? Of course, the studies, the professors, they picked me. They said, he applied for a grant for me. We have a called Center of Southeast Asian Studies. So their grant is, he just applied, so-and-so doing. Immediate pass. Immediately packed me off to Sri Lanka. See how that system worked. There, when I went to study, went to the National Archives, I saw what you call Alamat Lankapuri in perfect state. 1.5 years. Oh my God, this is a treasure. But Sri Lanka National Archives. Oh yes. I have brought all the copies for you now. I'll transfer to you, the entire thing. I have, not just in the microfilm, which is very difficult. I brought to you everything PDF with American government support. So you can just read it. I brought for you, not to worry. Right. So we are going to break out this research. So that was what happened. Anyway, so something extraordinary interest. At that time, I am in Australia. I come back. I have a sister, marriageable age. So my wife has to go back to Australia with me. So she wanted to somehow or other get my sister married before she goes. Anyway, very interesting story. So to get the sister married, she proposed to a Malay guy. He comes. So we were talking. Then he asked me, saying, why are you here? I said, no, man, I'm doing this Alamat Lankapuri business. You know, I have an uncle in Kandy, Katkala Road. I have seen some of these books with him in his house, in a trunk full of books. Would you like to go? Why not? Within 24 hours, we went to Kandy, Katkala Road. I don't know, see it. When I went to Kandy, when I went to that place, oh my God, more than 25 kitabs are there, all Malay. Then what I did was, those days we don't have WhatsApp. I wrote down quickly titles and send it by what do you call this, post? We call airmail those days. Airmail. Went and he said, I'm sure, Dr. Hussain, not a doctor, that those days, Hussain, I have a suspicion there may be more than this in Sri Lanka, more than this. All right. So same, my brother-in-law said, okay. At that house, there was another gentleman, old gentleman, very old, with a big beard. So when he was listening, Tuan, what are you doing here? I said, I'm doing it. Come, in my house in Pala, you to Trincomalee. I have got trunk full of books. You know, this Trincomalee it's a jungle area where all these people were given 4 acres of land as a colonizing. Most of them are Tamils live. He's one of the very few Malays who got this. So, what do you call this? Snake infested and elephant infested. Bear infested land. These people had to clear, this old man, poor fellow. So when I went to his house, he opened the trunk. Oh my God, like a Pandora's box. Hundreds of manuscripts and text. Hundreds. I went not by myself. My friend, National Archives director, helped me. Those days, to give a car is a big thing. So he gave the government car, made me to go with the assistant. We went. So what we did was, we took all the details and we brought all the manuscript to the National Archives for microfilm. Now, where do I microfilm? Here comes Professor Skinner from all the way from Malaysia, send me immediate construction of microfilms. Sri Lanka don't have that time foreign exchange. So this is how it all happened. Okay. So that is a little bit of storyline. Okay. Now come to that. So moving.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Now, when I go through all these manuscripts, something strange happened. All these manuscripts have called colophons. You know these colophons. Every manuscript will have something at the end of it. Who wrote it, who copied it, who read it. Virtually 80% of them were from the Ceylon Rifle Regiment, Malay Regiment. 80%. Which is strange in itself because, you know, normally soldiers don't do literature. Soldiers are, brawny people. If you see the British soldiers sent to Ceylon, all are duds. They're all sort of uneducated, untutored guys, soldiers. Then I was wondering, how come the Sri Lanka Malay soldiers, doing soldiering, doing literature, you know, copying manuscript night by night, months, and all the names will be there. And their country also will put. So, Saya Ibnu Kastor of Java, Namat Khan, manuscript ini, some word, pada mala vaya jam, malam ini hari bulan Ramazan. All right, I'm collecting. My list is going up, and all this is something to do with the soldiers. Then I got interested in this so that I would study the soldiers. That's where I started. Then I changed my perspective, went to the National Archives, started digging up the British documents, colonial office documents. Oh my God. They're coming like flows, like water, floods, the documents. Things called colonial office records, which is written by secretary of from Sri Lanka to London colonial office, and he will attach from the military archives, military commander will have his own records, military commanders as assistant military commander records. In that, every little details of Malay fellows will be there. When he retired, when he married, how much money he got, how much salary he got, all the little details. And where did he come from? And whether he was dismissed or he was given pensioned out. So you see, treasure troves of records coming. 9 months I waited in the archives. I go early morning. People won't believe my story. Early morning, 8 o'clock, they are first to open. I will only come at 5 o'clock. And my God, these documents, nobody has seen it. Nobody has seen. And as a result, I get a lot of dust. They're not clean. They're not in air condition. Sri Lanka those days, so much air condition. All dust. And every 3 weeks, I will get what you call pneumonia. Oh, virtually, because of the dust. Can you believe a scholar sitting from 9 to 9 months? And I got a bundles of notes like this. Huge volumes of notes. On which I reconstructed the entire history of Malay regiment, which has now become a center of study to many people. A lot of people are interested in India who have studied of the Sepoy regiment, the British regiment. Even now I get calls and WhatsApp and other material from the British people who are regiment. In other words, wherever the military history is written, somehow or other I slowly sneak in because of the regiment. They think it's a very valuable contribution. Not that they're major fighting soldiers, but it is a regiment well constructed. Right. So that is how this Orang regiment business and manuscript connected. Let me come back to my subject, Professor Murad's subject. I don't need to dwell too much on it. Right. Yeah, okay. Right. 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 Okay. Right. Now, the ones I found out are so-called Gundul. Gundul script. You know what is Gundul? Gundul is Gondol in Javanese language. Gondol is hairless. Hairless. So our Sri Lankan Malay Javi, they don't use our zero, the diacritical marks. So therefore they have no thing, you have to read it. So they somehow or other call it Gondol. In Javanese literature, there are two types of manuscript. One is Gondol, one is Pegon. Pegon is where you get the Zawar zero, diacritical marks. So this is the type of things I found it. So for example, I give you some name. Already I said it. The Hikayat. Hikayat means epics, novel. One is Muhammad Hanafiya, Hikayat Indraputra, Hikayat Sri Rama, and there were poetical work like Shair Kentambuhan, Shair Bidasari, Panton Selong. One small footnote I say, I told you that in Monash University, we had to compulsorily study classical literature. My professor Cyril Skena is a great lover of Ken Tambuha. It's a love story. So can you believe this guy only knows Ken Tambuhan with the printed material? Here I come with a manuscript with the original Ken Tambuhan. How? Oh my God, he was so excited. Here is a time when I'm his professor, like you teach Shakespeare, Midnight Dream. Here you come with a Midnight Dreams manuscript to your professor. How will you like it? So that was the kind of excitement we had in our life with my professor and me. So you're so excited to send Kamba. It's one of them. Right. Also, treatises like Sheikh Yusuf Makassar, Kitab al-Nikah, Shaykh Fadulun. I'll come to this. Sheikh Yusuf Makassar, very famous man. Very famous. Very great Sufi, great scholar, great reader. His works are incomparable. He was fighting for Sultan of Banten, and he fought and Dutch captured and sent to Sri Lanka. When they sent to Sri Lanka, he became a legend in Sri Lanka. He's a Sufi type. Everybody started flocking him. They were scared. The Dutch people at that time were very scared of Sufis in Sri Lanka. There was two Sufi called Ismail and Hamid. And they kept them in the chain in Colombo Fort area so that they will not mingle with that. But they did not mind it. The people wanted, with Dutch people's permission, went to sit with him. Who are the people who went? These are the Indonesian princes and governors who have been exiled to Sri Lanka because of the activity. Sri Lanka, the big top people, they were living in Sri Lanka. So they said, sir, please allow us. This is our guru, To Guru. We have to go. So they sit in their feet. So in the Thursday night, Malam Ratib, there will be Ratib. And a lot of miracles take place. Then this Indonesian prince will say, Tuan, I haven't eaten rambutan for a while. I haven't eaten rambutan for a while. You know what happens? He magically brings rambutan. Sorry, this is not legend. This is told in Sirat Mankubumi, one of the legends in their Silsila, Sulalatul Salatin. It has been mentioned. I'm not just creating it. So in other words, that's true or not, I'm not saying. How important Sufism, Islam, Malay contribution to Islam in Sri Lanka. A lot of our local Muslim scholars don't care about it. The Malays, I'll come to that. How did the Malay scholars contributed so much to Islam in the country? So Sheikh Yusuf Makassar was one of them. Sheikh Yusuf, what happened was he was becoming so popular, they were afraid the Indonesian group will come and take him back, pluck him back. So slowly what they did, they transferred him back to South Africa. While in Sri Lanka, he wrote 5 great books. And I think one of the UKM scholar written about PhD on these 5 books, Islamic scholar, Sheikh Yusuf Makassar. the greatest guy. So there also he wrote a book and he died. So now everybody now thinking that his Karamat is in their country. He's from Akasa, Buddhist. He's a Buddhist man. And Sri Lankan believe there is a, and also they say Toguru in South Africa. So this is the kind of universal traditions of Malay Islamic Muslims follow up. And mind you, this when this part you should know, who are the people who came to Sri Lanka originally? Three types of people. One is, as I told you, exiled princes and kings, like King of Java, King of Madura, Ternate, Tidore, Bachan, you name it anywhere. Goa means Makassar. All these big guns have spent time in Sri Lanka. Right? And this is why there's a word in Indonesian language, Sailankan, di Sailankan, means sent to Ceylon, means sent and banished. So if even now they say, if he's banished to Abu Dhabi, oh, he's Sailankan, not to Abu Dhabi. So in other words, Ceylan was so popular because it's a place of virtue. Anyway, one of the important things about Sri Lankan Malays is the leaders were top people, kings. But kings don't just come alone. They come with their gurus, Agama. And Agaman, they don't come free. They will bring all their kitabs. This is how the cycle, you understand? So in other words, Sri Lankan Malay belonged to a literate, high literate culture of Southeast Asia. They brought the whole Pusaka back into Sri Lanka. And those books were studied by the Sri Lankan Moorish scholars. But they not only brought Malay, lot of things, Shattariya, Qadriya, mostly Shattarian works, like Ibnu Fansuri's work. All these things were brought to Sri Lanka and Sufiized. So much so, there is a proverb in Sri Lanka, if you talk about Sri Lankan Moors and Malays, you know, these are all my Mo brother. He is half Malay brother, somebody, right? You know what? There's a talk. You most don't have any awliyas, man. It is only the Malays have awliyas. You know awliyas? They're buried. Actually, it's true. Wherever you go, Kurnagala, Chilau, Pir Sahib Street, those people who are buried are Malay Sufi scholars, not Moorish scholars. So they say, what is the use? You know, what I'm trying to tell you is, it's maybe a joke or something. But the Malay scholarship, Islamic Malay scholarship, was very alive in Sri Lanka. And that is the sequence in which my research follows up. And thank God, Allah's word, if I did not enter this field now, this would have been never known. Nobody would have known at that stage. Because by now, everything would have been destroyed. I discovered this in the 70s. Today, when you go and ask, not a single piece of paper left. All finished. So I'm thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me this inspiration to bring up the whole gamut of this scholarship. Right. Let me stop now and go to the other part. Sorry, sir. Sorry, I gave you a big book. Right. Now I'm coming, yes, to this early Malay periodicals. This is the great Apani knowledge of my friend Professor Murad, and is working in it. And not only for him, he's encouraging quite others how this communication and journalism is very critical in this whole gamut of studies. I think tomorrow you also hearing something similar to this.
Yeah. Dr. Muhammad is the speaker.
Yeah. So he's also doing something. Now this now my next part of the talk will go to the Malay periodicals. Now, you know, about talking about Malay periodicals, the earliest Malay newspaper, earliest Malay, was 1956, Surat Khabar Bahasa Melayu. Surat Khabar Bahasa Melayu. But this was actually, there were other newspapers in the Dutch East Indies. The first time they produced, you have to understand, I will come to this point in total, that the reason why these periodicals began appearing at this period of time is because of the influence colonial education system, colonial government system, colonial communication system has left. In other words, this is not totally a product of the Malay intellectuals, but this is also part of the impact which colonialism has brought into the knowledge circle of Southeast Asia. Go to the next one. Huh? Yes. Now, of course, this is very, everybody knows about it. I think Professor Murad is an expert on it. I don't need to talk anything. Talk about it. Next, I'm talking about Javi Pranakan. Now, Javi Pranakan is again you know the word Javi Pranakan. Javi Pranakan means son born to a Malay father and Arabic or Indian child. Pranakan. It's another class of group. These days they call them mamas. Right.
One of them.
Maybe 50-60% of Malays are one of them, but they don't claim, but they came Amana Saham. That's a problem here. Mama. Right. So this is 1876 Javi Pranakan. See the date. You see the way person who founded it. Munshi Muhammad Sayyid bin Dada Moideen. You see, in Singapore, there was a class of people, literary merchants. They were also Tamil educated and the interest educated. They thought it's high time we should have a periodical. So, yes, it's different. Munshi Abdullah. Yeah, Munshi Abdullah, of course, we'll come to that. He's a father of Malay literature. He's one of the Munshi Abdullah's colleagues. He belongs to this. Munshi Muhammad Sayyid bin Dada Moideen. So he produced this. It's 1876, right? And I don't need to go detail because Professor Murad will one day give you further details.
Yeah.
I'll go to my next subject. Go to the next slide, please. Now come the problem. Not problem. The next slide, please. Yes. Now the previous slide, sorry.
Previous. Yes.
This is very interesting. I need to give you a little bit of, about 3, 4, 5 minutes introduction to this gentleman. I think he's one of the greatest literary education Malay personality of the 19th century. Not just for Sri Lanka. For the entire Indian world, the entire Malay world. Right? And if you want to study further about him, I said, on this title, I wrote a very nice article in the Journal of Malayan Branch Royal Asiatic Society in 1991 about this man, the whole life. Why is extraordinary? He is a son of a Malay family man. His father was a soldier, his grandfather was a soldier, his brothers are soldiers, his uncles are soldiers, his nephews are soldiers, his in-laws are soldiers, all soldiers. But this guy, for some reason, 1955, he offered to retire. Those days, soldiers don't retire easily. After 10 years, retired, gave his retirement. And he paid heavy penalty to the government for retirement. Right? Then you know what he did? He started working under some serious Sufi scholars of Islam, Muslims. I'll come to that point. There was a very great scholar, at that time, Moorish scholar, Sufi man, under which he studied. And he translated his words called Jnana Mani Malay. Jnana means wisdom. Mani is the pearls. The pearls of the wisdom he translated into Malay. And he became a great devotee of him at the Kshatriya order, this guy. So, apart from that, he thought, my work is not to carry arms for soldiers. My is to carry pen, meaning I wanted to spread knowledge, not fighting. So what he did was, he started his own printing press. He printed, those days not a big printing press, it's just like a lithograph. It's a small material. They have a big batu, and they have ink, and he's a very good calligraphist, writer, and he just produced books. And that's how, in 1869, he produced a newspaper called Alamat Lankapuri. That's how it happened. Lithograph, very beautiful. That if you see the original script, so beautiful and nice. 1869. Mind you, the Malaysians or Malays in the Malay world waited in 1876 to produce a book, produce a newspaper. Whereas in Sri Lanka, minority guy, small guy, went and produced a book 9 years before the Malaya. Right? So I belong to the generation.
The Malays, 1938 only. So 1876 are the Jawi Pekan, not
Yeah,
the Malays.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. So this is why I'm very fond of this guy. And I found his photo. And I'm still actually his great-grandson. Great-grandson passed away yesterday. The big ENT specialist. His great-grandson passed away. And his grandson was the biggest professor in America. So America specialized in shooting the what you call satellites. He's the founder. Nobody knows. He was in London Imperial Economics, and he went to Wisconsin University, became the professor and dean of all the orangutans. And he discovered this what you call rays. And he died the way I had to die yesterday. He fell. This guy is very big scholar. He's only 70, 72. While walking European street, Dr. Wan, he just slipped and fell. That's it. You know what meaning of falling. You know your mother, wife. Falling is a big thing. And yesterday, I fell and I escaped. Anyway, yesterday, another near fall. He didn't realize it. He took me to a theater yesterday, some Sulalatu Salatin. And they are like a typical Malay. They put the steps like this. So he brought the car and I rode the step. Second time when I came down, he said, no, wait. I'm bringing my car right to the road stop on the left side. But I tried to step down. My God. Again, myself, I was falling. Had I fallen today, I think my funeral will be held in his house. No, seriously, because he knows the height. Imagine when you're falling, like right on that. So I would have been another sardine. Anyway, sorry, once in a while, a little bit of this, just to make you awake. I hate these 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock lectures, In my university, UBD, cannot handle this. Very sleepy time. But you people are very vibrant. You stop people. Your knowledge only come at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when we people student. Okay, so that is the story of this. So, okay, this Saldin's grandson. Great. In other words, what I'm saying is his greatness has passed on to other generation. Anyway, his greatness is he produced books, he imported books from Malaya, he exported books from Sri Lanka, and he produced all this Tawheed book, and he wrote one of the greatest Tawheed of the book called Shair Faidalabad. I'll tell you an interesting story. He wrote about, this is the Hajjaj version, Al-Hajj, the monism. I am the God, Halaj version. And you won't believe, sir, a professor, the biggest professor of Malay studies, Indonesian professor, I'll tell you, Hendrik Meyer, everybody. This guy came to Brunei and I gave it to him. He's almost becoming Muslim. He's reading, and every day night he reads his text. Becomes highly sophisticated. He's getting messages. So much Shair Faidalabad. It's in my internet. You can go and access it. He wrote, his wordings are so powerful. He's a big Malay scholar. He knows every Malay word. He's a creator of the dictionary. And this guy is so much involved with this Saldin's Shair. Right? And he is supposed to edit this book with him. Unfortunately, I did a big mistake. So he and I were working together. I used to read. I used to correct all that. When I went to America, I was there. I asked, hey, Hank, what are you doing, man? You're not writing to me. All my friends are dying or about to die. I told jokingly, in my age, at 70s, my scholars are slowly passing away. So I asked him jokingly, hey, Hank, what are you doing, man? Are you dying? He got angry with me because of this Saldin. He said, Sufis never die. So that is our story. So the book is going to be published very soon. So this is the guy who produced this book of the Alamat Lankapuri. And not only that, he published 3 of them. Sorry, go ahead further. Yeah, go further. One further. Yes, Alamat. This is Alamat Lankapuri, copy original. I go further. This is Vaja Silong. I have brought the entire Vaja Silong for Professor Murad's attention. He's going to do hire some people, or he's going to do work. Right? Entire collection.
Also Alamat Lankapuri.
Alamat Lankapuri, yes. Then another one. Can you go on? One more. They are interesting. This book, this is a Unmai. Unmai means the truth. And this is not in Javi. This is in Tamil, Arabic Tamil. Who did it? This man. Who? Anunusadi. He's the first Tamil newspaper in Sri Lanka, not only Malay. Long before these people started this thing, Unmai. Unfortunately, I only got 2 or 3 copies of this. If you read it very carefully, slowly you'll understand. In other words, Saldin did not work just only for Malay, also the Muslims, most. And some of his Alamat Lanka staff is also in Tamil, Arab Tamil. Vajasilam also Tamil. So it's a dual language. It's very, very clever.
Same Tamil as in Madras?
Yes,
Same.
yes.
Arabic,
But only
Arabic,
thing
same Arabic.
in Javi, Arabic.
Arabic.
Yes, Arabic. This is in Arabic.
First one is written about the Vilambaram, it's mean
Ah,
advertisement.
காட்டுங்க அவங்களுக்கு சொல்லுங்க. Read. You can read this thing quickly.
Second one is Namade Patrigai, it's about
Ah.
our paper.
See? Paper.
Yeah, Namade Patrigai.
So in other words,
Yeah.
this is very significant. Meaning it's not just Malay doing Malay. Now in Malaysia, a Tamil man writing Malay. Sorry. In Sri Lanka, Malay writing Tamil. You see, we are terbalik.
My grandfather reads Arabic.
Yes. So it's Sri Lanka provides a very fascinating amount of material like this. I mean, I have told this to so many times, but very few scholars come. One thing I have to tell you, my little scholars are there. I have had this problem in Sri Lanka. I'm trying to send some Sri Lankan scholars, really serious guys, go there, do this Unmai, go in archives, see, it's all there. Please do some research. These fellows will not stay more than 1 or 2 days. But they are very pure environment they live. They cannot breathe dust. Right? No, why? No, I'm just, I'm like a real Tamil poet. I'm trying to give you exaggeration. The point I'm making is, if you want to study, if you want to contribute to knowledge, there should be some kind of painstaking effort. Meaning that you have to give some trouble. Then only you can really originally read in time. This is what I did for 9 months. And that is now paying dividends. Can you imagine Ishtak is inviting me all because of what? Because of the time I spent in the archives. Don't you think so? This is recognition. Our fellows won't understand this. So I am encouraging my scholars, whoever comes, go and do work. And I give them the topic. You go and do this, go and do research, that kind of thing. So happen. Anyway, so this is another one, 1880s. It has been going on. So in other words, let me not going over and over again. What's the time, sir? How long I have?
Yeah, about 15 minutes.
15. Right. So I will come to that. So I wanted to, at the moment, I'm not going to give you so details. I'm trying to give you a kind of awareness about the possibilities of research existing vis-a-vis Sri Lanka, vis-a-vis you. And this being a research institute can focus more on these topics, right? They can get to this topic by topic, they can analyze it and bring something. And don't just ignore these people just because they're minority Malays on the community. This is universalism. When I say universalism, there was a thing called Dunia Malay at that time, Malay world. Malay world, it was just not confined to Singapore or Malaysia. It has gone up to Patani, gone even to sometimes Philippines. Indonesia, of course, part of the greater Malay world, although politically they divided the names. So Malay is a very big concept, in which I brought Sri Lanka in. How it became the Sri Lankan boundary of Malays until the moment they didn't know. The whole thing extended after I entered research. I'll tell you another jovial story. 1982, Mahathir Mohamad, Tansri, came, Tun Mahathir, came as a prime minister, 1 or 2 years, I think, 1982. And they had the biggest Malay World Conference in Malacca under Tamviche. And it's the biggest Malay. I have never seen such launch, highly publicized to make Mahathir a full Malay, full-blooded Malay. So the Malay world. Okay, now that's okay. Now this is a big one. It's also Malay. All right, that's gone. Now here comes a little Hussein. Yeah? Immediately after Hajj, I have a nice beard. Right? I did perform Hajj in 82, July, August. So it was in September, I think. So I went with a small text, original Arabic manuscript, Malay manuscript. So Professor Ismail Hussain, my promoter, Tan Sri, he said, hey, Hussain, go and give it. So they asked the, what do you call, security man, no, you can't get on to that. Ismail Hussain, no, this is my man, send him. So he went up, they were all shocked, they were all seated, Mahathir and all, seated. Then I am now standing, now I feel embarrassed with that. What do I do now? So I told them, this guy asked, what? No, I have to give this to Dr. Mahathir. So he went and did it to Dr. Mahathir. Mahathir got up, came to me, shook hand and get it. And he asked me, what is this? What you are giving to me? I said, one of the manuscripts, sir, it's very valuable. This is done by a Sufi manuscript. It will really bless you. And he asked me, where are you from? And in the public stage, nobody talks to the Prime Minister like that. About 2-3 minutes talking. Then I come down. Where? I come down. Then all the Malay guys asking, what did your brother say to you? What did your brother say to you? Really, you bugger, you are a colleague. That's a big joke that was. So now they were very angry, even at that stage. But that is not the point. Now I'm coming to my main point. My appearance with him, with Mahathir, clicked by the entire newspaper community. Following day, Saturday was a meeting. Sunday, Dr. Hussain and Mahathir. Headlines. Headlines. Every paper, National Times, Berita Harian, all the conference value gone down because of this one man. That was a big stop. So that is how the Malay world came into that. You see, that's how it started. The Malays first time became consciousness because of that political, not because of my research, not because of Alalamat Lankapuri, because of that one political statement. You see, even politics has to take literature in, and literature has to take politics in. You see, very critical. So this is how the whole gamut changed. And of course, in 1985, Second World Malay Conference was to be held in Colombo. Mahathir couldn't come. We invited J.R. Jayawardena, our president. This man is untouchable. He will not go. He's a very proud man. This little Malays coming and asking him to come as a chief guest. You think he's going to agree? But he agreed. He agreed. And that is another hit in Malaysia. And he says, now, of all the people, Sri Lankan Malay Jayawardena, he is now talking about the Malay world. Yes. And it was all on RTM, everywhere. So in other words, I mixed this 14 manuscripts, my studies, my research, everything into this game and made Sri Lanka a part of the Malay world. That was one of the, impact which Professor Murad and Dr. Nasim and my friend here, all came to Sri Lanka as a part of that game. Even now it's going to go on, right? So, well, right. So coming back to, finally to conclude, this is everything. This is what you call, can you put this? Right. Now, I wanted to bring another perspective. In Sri Lanka, every Friday, they had to put khutbah in the Malay area. They print their khutbah those days. And this is one of them. Khutbah means the sermon. And it's done by a Malay teacher, Abu Saleh Wahid. And he's a great rival of my friend Unusaldin. So now what happens in 1869, giving a total picture of the Malay life in Slave Island by this man, Unusaldin, about the schisms, schism, the fighting between these two groups. So, in other words, there was good intellectual fighting in between the Malay literati, to introduce. In other words, it's a massive period in which the older people, generally older people, were involved in the exchange of ideas about Malaya, Indonesia, Islam, Sufism. Among them, there was a clubs. Go into the picture. I'll click on. One more. No. So one more. Before. Can you go before? One before. Here. It's a very interesting picture. You'll be interested to know. These are our great literati buggers in Kendi. See, these guys are groups. These are the people who study Alamat Lankapuri, who read. These are the people who work for this thing. And they are group. You see, this guy, third fellow, whose diary I'm publishing, 1, 2, 3, from the left, Virabangsa. I'm now at the moment I'm involved in it. That's another story now. At the moment, that's my major project. So can you see these guys standing? To give you an idea of the kind of audience they had this. This is in Kandy, Katukale. Dr. Vannasim asked me, what happened to the Katukale building? Small Malay. No, now it's a massive thing. Dr. Van, this is from the place, Kandy, where you went to the mosque. This is, the picture is about 1890s. Very rare picture. I'm keeping it. I got much more better things than this. Anyway, I can't tell you all the things together. I need to come to a conclusion. That is, these two newspaper periodicals plus other periodicals of this period teaches us that at a particular period of time, Malays rose up to answer changing patterns of the world, namely post-colonial world, meaning that being there in the corridors of power as regimental soldiers, they imbibed the values of education, English education, and the need for communication because of this impact they had. Second, this was the time in Sri Lanka, there was a thing called Renaissance period, kind of between Tamils. There was called Saiva Paripalana Sabai by R. Mokanavalar. Then Anagarika Dharmapala, there was a great Buddhist scholar. All these people were trying to revivalism back from colonialism. The worth of local scholarship and local culture. So all these three communities were standing together. One is the Tamil community under R. Mokanavalar, then the Sinhalese community from Anagarika Dharmapala onwards, and Muslim community. He had a great leader called Sidilebai. He founded the Muslim girls' school and education. And that time there was a great Egyptian exile was there, Arabi Pasha. So this was a cauldron of reformism taking place in Sri Lanka in the 1880s. And the Malays were not left out of it, although they were the minority of the minority. Right? The Malay number is only about 0.03%. Despite that, they participated in this so-called revival movement, anti-colonial movement. And that was the reason why Malays were able to produce these newspapers. And these newspapers carried the message of Sri Lankan Malays to the Southeast Asia, particularly Malaya. And the Malayan books, dictionaries, Malayan publications, Malayan textbook like O. Dasak. There was a director, O. Dasak, in Malaya, direct education. He published a lot of these Malay literary works. All that came to Sri Lanka. Now, according to my research, one of the reasons why the Malay culture and Malay literature continued even for a while was because of the interaction between this Malay world in Sri Lanka via this public periodical media. They not only they sent Alamat Lankapuri to Kuala Lumpur to sell, they were given the agents. I don't have the names here. All the agents in the book, if you go to Alamat Lankapuri, you will see his agents were training. And his Vaja Selong even went up to Java, went to Thailand for sale. Can you believe that? Malayan newspaper, the Patani. So in other words, it was a hodgepodge, what do you call it, intermingling of culture, internationalism, communicationalism, etc. in this world. It's a very important. Now at the moment, everything is connected through WhatsApp, virtually. But those days, it's very difficult. You have to write letters, you have to communicate. In those circumstances, the WhatsApp and whatever the media were, this newspaper periodical. That's why the periodical study is very important. Today, in my speech or in my talk, I'm unable to cull personal information from these two methods. That is for a separate day I will devote. But for the moment, my mission today to make you understand the significance of the Sri Lankan Malay community vis-a-vis the Malay world. Second, significance of the intellectual contributions of the Sri Lankan Malay community. Third, vis-a-vis the Islamic contribution. The Malays, they say Malays were the awliyas all the time. It was a no, seriously. They were idea because they are the ones who spread it. And the big movements of Shatarya came to Sri Lanka from Aceh all the way because of Malays. And to some extent, Malays also prevented certain part of Shiism to get into this. That's a different part of the story because they evolved on the Sunni and Mathad and what do you call Shafi Mazhab into Sri Lanka. All their works are Shafi Madhab based. Even the biggest work like Futuh Dahiyan is like what Nuruddin Raniri produced, Sirat al-Mustaqim. I don't know if you heard about Sirat al-Mustaqim, Nuruddin Raniri, which is the first book to teach what Aqidah, Islamic Aqidah to Muslims. How to take wuzu, how to pray, how to bury funeral, how to wash. All this coming from this great work by Nuruddin Raniri. In Sri Lanka, Futuh Dayan did the same thing. They taught all the little principles of Aqidah and Shart, Farl, I don't know. All thing about Muslim, how to bathe, Muslim burial, how to marry, how to make dua. All these things are done by Futuh Dayan. Who wrote the Futuh Dayan is a Malay. So you can see that is not the old Malay, the new Malay, 1954. We call Dore, his name is Dore, Anis Dore. Still great books. And works on Islamic law is done by another Malay. So in other words, from then to now, Malay are in the forefront of knowledge sharing, knowledge improvement in this part of the world. But is there any Malay here in the East?
Yeah, I mean, Malay.
No, is there any Malay?
Sri Lanka Malay.
Oh,
No, that I've discovered so far.
sorry, sir.
All Moors.
I'm not introducing. What I'm telling you is, these people are now revivalists, right? They are going to take our messages. Okay? So with those little words, okay, now before I end up, I have to tell you something, how all this thing happened. Before everything, it's not only politics. It happens because of certain friendship also. I'll tell you, you'll be very interested to know. No, I had a friend called Datavan Nashim. When it was in 1974, first time I'm meeting, very young, handsome man, very handsome. Ah, right. He's the one who take me to Kothaba, the Friday prayers, we had a machine. So that part is over and he came back in 76. I was still continuing. That part is over. He did three great things towards this study. One is, he's the one got me friendly with these big people like Ismail Hussain. That's a friend. When I have come up, he is my host. Third, very important thing he did it, he may not remember. He introduced me to this IBKK, Islam, the Islamic culture, Malay Institute of Cultural Literature. He's the one who took my CV, personally went to see his friend, the Vice Chancellor, and gave it. And he got me the top position, almost a professorial position. Right, that's two. Third contribution, I'm telling you how the friendship matters. Third contribution made was, he became a director of this same institute, 1990s. And he found that I'm making a big error. My book, Orang Regiment, still left there, not published. He made it. He write to me threatening letters. I still have all those 7, 8 letters threatening. Get you bugger, get this book out. We'll be must. So that how the Orang Regiment came. Honestly. So since then, of course, I mean, we have a common friends. I always stay with him. I mean, at least a day. If I can't stay all time, I will stay a day. Yesterday, I chose this day for him. But unfortunately, he has to pay for my doctor today, medical. Normally, I have to pay for his stay. He has to spend only all my things, my medication, everything. So that is the friendship. Anyway, this is slight thing. So in other words, what I'm saying is, these little things, politics, friendship, incentive, good-heartedness, the gratitude, the fondness for each other, go a long way in studies. I am trying to tell you. Sorry, I am not a normal lecturer, not like a Orampute, white man lecturer. I will talk also the odd thing. If you are going to edit my talk, you may have to take 90% out, only 5%. It's worthy. Yeah, true, right? 5% worthy. And I'm not interested in this big talk. I have done it, In my life, I had presented papers, all that. But with you, I'm not going to make a serious presentation. You understand? As you asked me. Right. So I made a little, what do you call, snippets in English. Little stories here, little stories there. But there are a lot of unsaid stories also. That will be much better ones. So that is my day. Thank you, Dr. Vanasim. He's the one who brought me finally, at least today. Despite all that traffic, he went, and he's one man. I told him he's a professional driver and professional loser. He can't find it. He goes out, and at one point he said, "Here is start." Then he missed that point, and he said, "You go another 3.5 kilometers." No. It's a good fun with him. It's okay. Anyway, we came right on time. That's the great thing about intention. Okay, thank you very much for hearing me. Sorry, if I hurt anybody, but sometimes I talk little out of turn too much. I'm little. So I've done it. So, Professor Murad, have I done my job?
Definitely.
Okay, thanks. Now I leave.
Thank you. Thank you. Big round of applause to Professor Usemia. Fantastic stories told about the fortuitous circumstances of the Sri Lankan Malays, yourself, Professor Wan, and the Malay newspaper. I would like to use the term serendipity. And there's one word, I think, Ronit Ritchie, when she was writing about the Alamat Rangkapuri, she was talking about how Alamat Rangkapuri became the center for literary culture and learning, and that brought forward all the fortunes that were available at that time, equivalent to the word Sarandip, which is the name of the Arab name for Sri Lanka early on. And Alamat Langkapuri played a very important role in bringing together Malay elites. It was a cosmopolitan. It was a center of Malay cosmopolitanism in Colombo. And that Malay cosmopolitanism is seen as stretching and moving back and forth between the Malay archipelago and the island. And also, an important observation is that it's not a one-way traffic, but it's a two-way traffic. It's interactive. And this is another way that we have to explore. Not only the influence of the subcontinent and Sri Lanka to the Malay archipelago, but the Malay archipelago to Sri Lanka and the Malay continent, the Indian subcontinent. I'm sure the influences are there in South India as well. One question before I open up. You said about the Tamil source of these hikayats that came to Malay archipelago. When Malacca was invaded by the Portuguese, they were reading Muhammad Hanafiah. Where did it originate? Does it originate from other aspects, other areas of the Indian subcontinent, or the Arab Persian world, or from that area?
Most of these things, sir,
Or in Tamil. I mean, it's from Tamil.
I know. The most of these hikayat, although it's a Tamil originated, it derived from Tamil, but Tamil itself derived from Arabic and Persian. All these original stories were once related there. Yeah. So
when they arrived, when the hikayat came to Malacca, which language was it there? Was it in Tamil or in Arab or
no? It was in Tamil.
It was in Tamil. That's what the story is. Arabo-Tamil. So meaning the early hikayats in Malacca were Arabo-Tamil.
Of Hikayat Hanafiah. No, it's not like that. It's an adaptation.
Okay.
You see, when they read it,
I know.
Somebody found it more interesting.
But the language
of
is Arabo-Tamil. Is an adaptation of the.
If you study Hikayat Muhammad Hanafiah, or this thing, you'll see a lot of influence of the Tamil inside.
Okay.
Linguistically.
Yes.
This
is where, with due respect to Malay scholars, this is where we don't see. It's not described that there is a literary link between the Tamil literary link in among the hikayats to the Malay archipelago.
Correct.
It was glossed over. We given the impression that the hikayats came from the Arab Persian world, direct to the Malay archipelago. So the Tamil element is erased. So this is the thing that
no, sir, you can't say that erased. If you see R.O. Winstead, History of Classical Literature, he delves enough on these aspects. But later scholars, because of nationalistic interest,
Yeah, that's
they were slowly mull over.
my
They
point.
didn't want to.
Yeah.
They slowly covered it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Dr. Vanasivan, we had a discussion. Same thing happened.
Yeah.
For some reason,
Yeah.
political reason,
Yeah.
this happened.
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
Exactly. That's also the important thing of looking at the history of newspapers.
Yes.
William Burroughs, for example. I mean, he was the one who was loud and clear saying that there was no Malay newspaper between 1876 to World War II. There were Jayapranakakan and Hadrami newspapers.
Mm.
Malay newspaper only started in 1939, Utusan Melayu.
Correct.
So again, these are the things which are not so visible in the historiography of newspapers in Malaysia. I would open up to questions and comments or queries. Anyone? Yeah, Dr. Mehmet.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Prof. Hussein Maya Hojam. Nice to see you over here in the stack. There are some questions. You mentioned a few things important, I guess. Universal tradition. This is a very important concept. Universal tradition means that Dünya Islam, Dünya Malayu, Dünya Islam. So how the Sri Lankanese themselves, beyond this diaspora Malays, are aware of this universality? This is very important. The second question is about Hadrami. We know that since the beginning of, let's say, 12th century onwards, the diaspora of Yemenis, Hadramis, going around all the Indian Ocean regions, how they influence during that second part of 19th century in terms of journalism and religious, cultural publication processes. Thank you very much.
Yeah. How the Sri Lankan Malays get connected with why they need Malayness, Malayness, the identity is very important reason for the self-survival. In Sri Lanka, there are two communities, Muslim, not three communities, Boras, then Moors, Sri Lankan Moors, and Malays. Now, Sri Lankan Moors are the predominant element. They are 95% of the Muslim community. Malays are only 5%. What happens? Linguistically, they are different. Moors came from the West, from Arabia, Persia, and from, of course, through India, whereas Malays came from the East, Nusantara, number one. Now, second, the Malays are culturally distinct from the Moors. Very distinct because they follow the Malay traditions, right? Number three, as you know, language is very different. Fourth, there was a certain amount of pride in the Malays, as if they are the scions of the Rajas. You know scions? That the ancestors were the rulers. Even now, if you ask a Malay, you will say, oh, my great-great-father was a prince of Indonesia. You know, this is psychological, emotional. When you put together, as a result, they did not want to be completely absorbed by the Muslim community. Moors. They wanted to retain their separateness. Right. As a result, unfortunately, there were a lot of intermarriages between Moors and Malays. Because naturally, they're Muslims. They get married. But there are other proud fellows. They will not give their children to be married by the Muslim. They want to keep the Malayness. You see, understand? To some extent. So that is the reason I'm asking you. To how do you preserve the Malayness? I mean, they have nobody to back up. They wanted to back up with Malaysia or Indonesia. And that's why they had to write literature, they had to write letters, they had pen friends to that side. And they import their books, they sell their books. They're more identified with the East rather than the Arabic West. You see, very subtle. These things are not openly discussed. And the first thing is, second thing is, the first early Malay mosques were built by Malays in Sri Lanka. People don't know that. Even Maradana, there was a big Maradana mosque. I have got the records. It was originally belonged to Malays. There was a big fight took place. It's in the National Archives that the Moors expelled them and took it away. Yeah. So that, I'm trying to answer you in terms of the Muslim community of Sri Lanka to understand. There are Moors, Muslims. They are the Muslims. They are the politically powerful people. The Malays, very simple minority, but they do their own jobs. But there is a lot of interconnection maritally. But they don't want to lose culturally. When I was small, my grandmother will scold me. You behave like a champune or more. I mean, I'm Muslim. You behave like a more. In other words, you are a Malay. So much so recently I wrote my article, the Java boy of Maligavattu. I didn't want to call him a Muslim boy or a Moorish boy or Malay boy, Java boy. You see, I'm not a scholar. When I was 10 years, I'm not a scholar. 15 years, I'm not a scholar. 18. I don't know anything of this thing. But when I look back, I can feel that there was a serious distinction, almost like a caste distinction between the Moors and Malays. Right? So to answer your question, in Malay universalism, where it comes from is because they had to look for this side rather than that side. But despite so, from my talk, you would understand a person like Yunus Saldin was a universal man, not for the Malays, also for the Moors. Okay, they wrote their language. He was interacting with them. They were all living together. Okay? Second question about Yemeni. I can't answer, sir. I don't have much knowledge. Sorry. I want to think. I don't have much information to answer your question, which is, I think you are the best for that.
Yeah, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakumullah khairan. I believe that we had a very insightful session today. Jazakumullah khairan, Prof. Hussein Mia and Istak for organizing this wonderful session. I feel that very proud to be a Sri Lankan Malay. I was the former vice president of Putlam Malay Association in Sri Lanka. Yeah. So my once I met you in IIUM. Yeah. Yes. And also I had the opportunity to organize a conference on Sri Lankan Malay in IIUM with the collaboration of IMU before 2 years ago. So my question is, Prof, what are your suggestions to the researchers, those who are involving in Sri Lankan Malay history? What are your suggestions and your concern about that? My second question is, how Malay world, like Malaysia and Indonesia, can contribute to the empowerment of Sri Lankan Malays in terms of language, culture, and religious spirit. In other way, we can ask that what are the challenges that Sri Lankan Malays face nowadays?
Right. The first question, can you repeat again?
It's about the what is your suggestion for the researchers, those who are involving in Sri Lankan Malay history?
Right, okay. I gave you the answer in my talk. That is, there are quite a lot of material still left untouched. They have to do it through going into the iCloud.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, there are still a lot of topics not covered about the Malays, Malay lifestyle. Now, we are talking to Professor Vanashim. We went to a place called Kirinda. It's an excellent laboratory to study the transformations, Malay community and sociology structure. There were 2-3 theses that can be produced. For example, that particular area. It's a small area, about 1,000 families. But the way their things happen, now they are becoming highly Persianized and Islamized and Dawaist. That time, last time they were lived as a Malay. Now they are becoming a, what Malay we call it, little serious Moorish Malay. It's this transformation. All this thing subject to study. There was a guy called Dennis McGillivray, famous scholar, studied on Akarapat to Muslims on the system. Brilliant work he has done from Colorado. But similar works have not been done for Malay communities. There's one community in Mambalangan, Malay colony. We call Malay colony, you haven't been. So in other words, for Malay scholars or Malay researchers, there is plenty to do. Even this Alamat Lankapur is not studied thoroughly. Even Vajasalam not studied thoroughly. You can read it from different angles, linguistic angles, sociological angles, historical angles, right? Political angles. So if you are saying they have to create their topics and they need guidance. Number two, how does the Malay world can help them? Well, two things has to happen. One is active request or active involvement must be there with the Sri Lankan village, with the Malaysian village. Unfortunately, after Gapena's loss, after Ismail Hussein things got lost, there are very little interaction going on. Professor Vanashim knows about it. He was very charismatic guy. We brought our communities together. Very frequently they have interaction, median, everything. But now we have to increase the pace. So I was just telling him, like the second Malay Valley conference, we have to bring the third Malay conference there. We have to make a brochure and bring the people again. Our generation, okay, Mr. Professor Murad, he, me, we know about this. But we have to give this idea to the next generation of Malays in Malaysia to make them understand that people who are related to you, connected to you, your lost cousins, are still left behind. And please interact with them. You understand? So that has to be done institutionally. Unfortunately, when you do institution, very difficult government to govern. Last government was very difficult. They were highly Buddhist-oriented government. They didn't want any community activities. But now the current government, you can talk to them. Let us have Malay, Sri Lanka relations, Indonesia, Malaysia, Sri Lanka relations. We can continue that, but it has to be done institutionally. And we have very strong organizations in Sri Lanka, like also Malaysia. They will be working towards that. But they are the one who is hosting all the people coming. When Professor Vanashim came, they are the one who immediately accepted them. And we had a nice gathering. So there are foundations laid already for this kind of activity. The younger generation going to Sri Lanka actively to promote. Second problem is language. What language we are going to? Do you want to sit to Malaysian language? I am one of the things, I am not interested in Malaysian language in Malay as such. I wanted to preserve the Sri Lankan Malay with whatever its grammatical problems are. It is your identity. But they can learn as a subject Malay, so that they will be easy to translate, intranslatable. You understand? So to answer your question, there are many, many areas in which we can try.
Yeah, in that sense, what can be done, perhaps Prof. Wan knows better, is to offer scholarships to Sri Lankan Malays to study in Malaysia. In other words, institutions like ISTEC, ACMA, a number of Malay studies institutes in public universities can advertise for scholarships for them to study here. When I was in Kerinda, I met the school teachers, and they were interested in studying for their postgraduate. I told them to apply first from there to ISTEC and then apply for scholarship, apply for a place, then get a scholarship. So I hope he would do that. So these are one of the ways in which a deliberate effort to maintain cultural links as well as to create literacy and also where language is concerned. Of course, the Malaysia cannot expect Sri Lanka Malay to be standard Malay. I mean, there are variations of Malays. Okay? I mean, in terms of language. So Sri Lankan Malay is different from the standard Malay, which is different from other Malays spoken in the Malay archipelago. So again, these are the things. And what is important here is to maintain the cultural linguistic existence. In Kerinda, I think there are 2,000 families. It's not only that, but also to create the cultural geography extension. The extension of the Malay archipelago eastward would be, westward would be Sri Lanka. This is part of the early diaspora, I would say. The later diaspora would be South Africa, but the earlier diaspora, and I don't know, perhaps there is a thin line because the diasporic Malay in Sri Lanka have been over the years indigenized in a way that maybe the changing meaning of diaspora, but this is important. So the link, the deliberate, organized effort to bring Sri Lankan Malays to Malaysia, also to create opportunities for younger scholars here to study there, or to do a lot of sociological research. Now, the ones interested in South India, Sri Lanka, will be the Danes and the there are some Danish scholars and the other European scholars, but not scholars from Malaysia, except for Dr. Wan and a few of his students, perhaps, and Professor Bang Hussein. We owe that to Professor Bang Hussein and, of course, Prof. Hussein Mian. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Thank you so much, Prof. 。 You talked of part of the unfinished business, which are yet to be discovered as regards to relationship between the Tamil and the Malay. So I'm wondering, have you come across the topic of us descending, the descending of Hawa and Adam, and also the burial, the burial place of is it Adam? Yeah, yeah. I see. I see. That is, I think that should be one area which brings in the whole global world into the whole subject matter. I don't know if that is also an area which has which generated a lot of the subject matter or discussion between the two people, the Tamil and the Malay world. Thank you.
Yeah. Related to this Adam alayhi salam's coming. It is one of the legend, I will call legend, I don't know, myth or legend. It has percolated and has been well entered into the medieval literature. As for example, if you know Ibn Battuta, who came in 1344, his main item was to go to Baba Adam's things. And Al-Baladuri and all the other people of that period indicate that there was a great desire of the Arabs, some or other, to make a visit there, and which they did. Right. Unfortunately, when the Islam started getting stronger and stronger, the concept of this was snared by the major communities, Buddhist. And they will claim, why this worldly man to come us, our man should come. So what they did was they converted the whole legend to Buddha. That Buddha landed there. I mean, that's what they call it. Then third is for the Tamils also coming in. They say, no, not Islam God, not Buddhist God, it's our God, Sivanolipa, the Malay. So you see, when it comes to common elements claiming, it's like any religion. Do you condemn Hinduism? No, I'm not going to condemn Christianity. So we leave them alone. Right? One guy came to me, very interesting question. We have realized a Moorish activist. He brought a book like this, more than 200-page book. He written about Adam with all the things to me, saying, some or other you have to publicize it to do it. I couldn't handle it. I said, it's not in my area, territory. You understand? I'm not there to a propagationist for any particular issue. I said, if you want, you do it, I will be supporting you. But he passed away about 1 year ago. In other words, there are people who are interested to pursue this area of study. But not, I'm a sort of my knowledge is very limited. I can't go into all areas, you understand? So I just leave it aside.
Yeah, when we were in Sri Lanka, we were at the foot of Adam's Peak. It was a rainy day, and there were Hindu temples there and Buddhist. So it's common. It's common to have I think, Hindu temple at the steps.
Okay.
I did not climb the steps because it was, I think, about 3,000 steps or 2,000 steps. So maybe next time. Well, this is the thing that exactly what Professor Mia was talking about. And I think that will bring a lot of perhaps unity, conflict, and between the religions, the Sinhalese and the Buddhists, Muslims and the Hindus as well. I think with that, we adjourn the session. Thank you. Fantastic story. I mean, I wish we have 10 hours with you. Thank you for your hardship.
I forgot my leg now.
Giving time, fantastic. This is a fantastic story. On the, on a personal note, I've asked, requested a number of times from Professor Semia to facilitate in my study of Alamat Langkapuri. one of the things which I'm doing as part of my project for ISTEC is to digitize Malay newspapers, especially before World War II. We have digitized one for 20 years, but in the archives, they're only 10 years. So that's digitized, and we're doing the metadata. My next project is Alamat Langkapuri. I've heard Alamat Langkapuri over the last 30, 40 years ago, actually, from Professor Safa Hashim. You know him? Safa Hashim, UKM. Yeah. He was the first who told me. He said, "Oh, he's in the Sri Lanka archives in Colombo." But I did not get to the archives. But I hope to have copies to digitize. We have funds for that, and we'll share with you. And not only that, but we'll do metadata on that so that it facilitates those who want to study not only the content but the context and the sociology of the serendipitous condition in Colombo vis-a-vis the Malay world. With that, we thank very much Professor Mia and Professor Wan for bringing him, your good friend, to ISTEC, and we are very honored to have you. We adjourn the session because tomorrow there'll be the eighth lecture. Yours is the seventh, and the eighth lecture on journalism, reform, and society. We're going to talk about the newspaper Al Jawaib, the Ottoman newspaper. Posing the question whether the Ottoman newspaper is used by the Ottomans to spy on the Malay archipelago or otherwise. So it's an Arabic newspaper. So again, and in future, just to announce, Suryadi, our friend Suryadi from Leiden University, is also interested to give a talk here. So he's coming perhaps in a few months' time. So he'll do on the insulin and two newspapers from West Sumatra on how they become purveyors of modernity. So these are the subject matters that we're going to deliberate in this discourse. In other words, to create a non-state-centric discourse on Malay newspapers and journalism. We're talking periodicals and how they become agents of change and reform. So with that, thank you very much for all who spent the time. I would like to give a token of appreciation to Professor Semia and Professor Wan. Right. This is 3 books. No, you have to stand up. I'll stand up. 3 books published by ISTEC. This one and Dr. Muhammad and yeah. Yeah. Never mind. You can take a photo.
Oh, sorry.
Never mind. You can sit.
No need. Oh. Right.
One, two, three.
Okay, Dr. Wan.
Okay.
Thank you. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Welcome.
Ya.
Okay.
Sama buku.
Dr. Wan is in the process of giving away all his lifetime collections. If you want, go and take it. Seriously. You give it to him. Dr. Wan?
Yeah.
You are giving away all the collections. You are still receiving
Yeah. Never mind. I give it.
his lifetime collection. He and me are the same. I also had my